It is El Salvador and Suriname, live across the region and around the world. I'm Donnie Barnes. We'll see the weather conditions in San Salvador tonight. It has been very humid all day with showers and thunderstorms off and on. The threat of rain remains tonight. It will be a somewhat slick surface, which will only add to the drama and tension over the next 2 hours. Beautiful shots here of this beautiful stadium. Great temperature at kickoff time, 75 degrees. Not much wind either, so that won't be a factor. It's mainly the rain. Will it hold off during this game? If it doesn't, how much will it rain? Again, we've had off and on very heavy downpours throughout the afternoon. Hasn't dissuaded this big crowd, though. They started filing in 4 hours ago. They have been ready for this one for weeks, and especially after El Salvador's big win in their group opener in this final round of Concacaf World Cup qualifying last Thursday at Guatemala. This whole country has been ready to explode with excitement for this game here tonight. El Salvador topping their group right now, Group A, in this final round of Concacaf qualifying. After that aforementioned big upset victory on the road at Guatemala last week, and boosted by the fact that Panama and Suriname played to a 0-0 draw in Suriname as well. So El Salvador surprising many around the region by being top of their group after just one round. Again, 6 games to be played in total in this final qualifying round. 3 home, 3 away. So a long way to go, but so much hope here in El Salvador and in Suriname for that matter, that they could be teams that get through to the World Cup next summer. 6 CONCACAF nations will be at the World Cup next year at least, of course. The United States, Mexico, and Canada already automatically qualified as host nations, but this expanded World Cup field giving all of these other CONCACAF nations real hope that they can make it to the World Cup as well this cycle. But still so little margin for error. Remember, you have to top your group to gain that direct spot in the World Cup next summer. There are 2 playoff spots available as well to the 2 best second-place finishers in the 3 groups. They would advance to that Interconfederation playoff next March. The draw for that will take place in December. But the easiest thing, of course, is to just win your group. But easier said than done. Suriname taking advantage of their big diaspora over the last half-decade. They have improved rapidly over that time. They want to prove that they're for real now and get to that world stage, that highest level, that World Cup for the first time ever. El Salvador haven't been there since 1982, but you can see this stadium, this country is dreaming that this will be the year that they get back. So will it be El Salvador building even more momentum, or will it be Suriname sending a message that they're ready to finally grab a seat at the highest table in world soccer? We'll hear the anthems of these nations, then see starting 11s in kickoff. El Salvador and Suriname from a trembling Cuscatlan on the road to FIFA World Cup 2026, and it's next. I don't care if you have any allegiances in this game or not. If you don't have goosebumps right now, I just don't know what to tell you. El Salvador and Suriname tonight from San Salvador at this iconic national stadium. It's been around since the 1970s, renovated extensively over the last decade or so, and packed to capacity tonight. And they can't wait for kickoff. Neither can we, and we're just moments away. Suriname in the white, trimmed in the red and green. El Salvador in their classic blue and white. The azul y blanco for La Selecta tonight. Suriname will look to show the courage that has seen them emerge on the world stage over the last half a decade. Big task ahead of them tonight. They believe they're up to it. We'll start to find out in just a few minutes. They're certainly up to it. Here's the starting 11 for their home side tonight, led by Mario Gonzalez in goal. Their captain, Henry Romero, anchors the back line. Nathan Ordaz, who delivered the match-winning assist in their goal in Guatemala last week in that big opening win in this final qualifying round. He starts alongside Brian Heel, as Heel has been a big-time scorer over the last couple of years for El Salvador. Darwin Seren, very experienced in the center of the park. Our match officials led by Adonai Escobedo, assisted by Michel Espinoza and Leonardo Castillo. The fourth official is Rafael Lopez. So that's the kind of atmosphere that Suriname are going to face down here tonight. Here is their starting 11. Etienne Vossen remains in goal. 4 changes, though, made by Stanley Menzo from their first game in this phase on Thursday, that 0-0 against Panama. He brings in experience with Gleofilo Vleiter, their all-time leading scorer, part of that attacking line. Kenneth Paul in the midfield. Shaquille Pinas back on the back line. Geraldo Becker, 30 years old, electric left winger for them. He also returns to the starting 11 for the visitors, for whom this will be one of their biggest tests that they have faced so far in their quest to reach that highest table in world football. And for El Salvador now, the challenge is to live up to this atmosphere that they've created for this game tonight. Suriname will kick things off in the white from left to right. El Salvador in the blue. El Salvador, the nation, expectant. Suriname fans watching back home, full of hope as well. Adonai Escobedo ready to get us underway. Hopes and dreams at stake once again over the next 90 minutes. And we are rolling at a rollicking Estadio Cuscatlán in the final stage of Concacaf World Cup qualifying. Will El Salvador boost their bid for a first World Cup in 44 years? Or will it be Suriname igniting their quest to get there for the first time ever? Suriname starting in possession. And they spoke in the build-up to this match about wanting to be patient with the ball, not trying to force things, not feeling they have to rush to get forward when they gain possession. They launch it on a long ball forward here, and the flick on is one. It's a good ball on this right side. First attack now, Geraldo Becker by the end line. Stands up the cross toward the back post. It's well flicked away. Good start, though, for Suriname. Looking for a foul there, thinking they were going to get one. They did not. And El Salvador in their first counter of the match. And Nathan Ordaz, the young star for LAFC in Major League Soccer. Huge recruit for El Salvador to convince him to join them and play for them. Out of the 3 different nations, he was eligible to represent. Now Brian Heel is after this, and Heel is able to get his head to it, but it's gathered by Etienne Vossen, who is an adventurous goalkeeper. He is never afraid, Etienne Vossen, to venture off his line, and sometimes it works out really well. Sometimes he gets himself in big trouble. That time it was almost the latter. So what a first 2 minutes. El Salvador created some danger. El Salvador caused some nerves the other way. This is bent toward the back line, and no nonsense from Ronald Gomez, the center back, who played in the United States in the USL with FC Tulsa a few years ago. Now plays in the domestic league in El Salvador. There's Hernan Gomez trying to lead a fourth different nation to the World Cup. He's one of just a couple coaches in FIFA World Cup history to lead 3 different nations there, and if he could make it 4, he would become a legend in El Salvador and an even bigger legend in World Cup lore. And after that win on Thursday at Guatemala, in a match where he acknowledged they didn't play nearly as well as he wanted to, he was happy about the result. He said, we have to get a lot better. Suriname, who can play very nice possession-based football. They let this run through, nobody on the end of it. It'll be out for a goal kick. Again, this is match day 2 out of 6 in this final stage of World Cup qualifying for both these sides. And Stanley Menzo, in his early 60s, played for Ajax in Holland, won many trophies with them. A legendary playing career as a goalkeeper. He's had a very good career as a head coach as well, returning to Suriname for this World Cup qualifying cycle. He has Surinamese roots. He said last year if he could guide Suriname to a World Cup, he might retire because there wouldn't be anything bigger left for him to accomplish. Here was the opportunity for Brian Heel a moment ago, able to get his head to it ahead of Vossen, but not able to get enough on it. Ordaz trying to roll the defender Javencio van der Kust. Van der Kust stood his ground well. So El Salvador on top of Group A with 3 points thanks to their win at Guatemala on Thursday. Suriname 1 point along with Panama. Guatemala on none, obviously, since they lost to El Salvador. After tonight, the next 2 matches in this final qualifying round will be played in October, and then 2 more in November. Part of a 2-month sprint to the finish line in Concacaf World Cup qualifying. 12 remaining nations who have reached this final stage, divided into 3 groups of 4. The winners of each of those 3 groups over this 2-month tournament advance straight to the World Cup next summer. There are also 2 playoff spots available to the 2 best runners-up finishers out of the 3 groups. They would advance to the Interconfederation playoff next March. Be drawn against other best runners-up from other regions around the world for the last couple spots in the World Cup. And obviously, the simplest way to get there is just to win your group. Not easy. This group especially loaded. Panama the favorites coming in, but couldn't break down Suriname on Thursday. Here come El Salvador now, keeping possession with Diego Flores. Early olays from the home crowd. Brian Landaverde, experienced, tactically disciplined central midfielder. Brian Heel trying to hold up that ball, claiming handball against Radinho Balker, not getting it. Suriname in possession then. Trying to play it straight down the middle. Might be a chance on the counter here for El Salvador. Ordaz defended well by Shaquille Pinas, one of those center backs. He plays in the Jamaican League. And then has just recently completed a move to the Saudi Arabian League. Played in Jamaica the last few years. He's part of that Cavalier side that played against Lionel Messi and Inter Miami in the Concacaf Champions Cup tournament earlier this year. Gave them a couple pretty good games as well. Jean-Paul Boetius, one of the players recalled into the starting 11 today. Plays at the 2 Bundesliga in Germany for Darmstadt. And Suriname boosting their talent pool over the last half-decade since they began to allow dual nationals to play for their national team. And they have had a history of such a rich diaspora, many of whom have gone on to play for the Dutch national side. Here they come now, bursting into the area with Becker across the face of goal and then touched out for a corner, the first of the match. Danger for El Salvador. Mario Gonzalez stays down. Becker almost created the opening goal. Gonzalez did get a fingertip to it to deflect that cross. His teammate completing the clearance at the expense of a set piece. Becker, who didn't start on Thursday, a couple moments of danger they've created in these first 10 minutes have come through him on that right side. But there's concern for Mario Gonzalez. He's established himself as the #1 keeper for El Salvador over the last several years. We do have VAR tonight, by the way. Eric Miranda is the lead VAR, assisted by Enrique Santander, both of Mexico. Now Mario Gonzalez, who had his first call-up, his first cap with El Salvador in 2021, has had almost 50 appearances since then. The 2 backup keepers for El Salvador, Tomas Romero of New York City FC and Benji Villalobos, plays for Aguila in the domestic league in El Salvador. See him applying spray to that left wrist area, it appears. Not sure who they would go to primarily off the bench if Gonzalez couldn't continue. Both Villalobos and Romero have had about 20 appearances over the last several years. Villalobos considerably older at 37. He has a lot more experience. Ooh, that collision with his teammate as he reached across to get something on that cross. So you would think it would be Villalobos next, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, that was Romero that we saw on camera, so even though he's 13 years younger than Villalobos, he appeared to be the one getting ready if he needed to go in. Well, Gonzalez back up, but not looking in a good way. It looks like he's going to try to continue. Romero waiting in the wings in case. So after all that, the first corner of the night for Suriname. Set pieces, always critical, especially in World Cup qualifiers. It's how El Salvador won their game on Thursday. They had a few set pieces that they didn't really defend well against Guatemala and got away with. Struggled to defend aerial balls into their own box. Now this outswinging ball, and it's met, and they score! And Suriname sucker punched the Cuscatlan. Redinho Bulker from the first corner of the match, met it well, planted it in the corner, and silences this crowd for now. I just said they got away with a few on Thursday. They didn't get away with this one. Bulker in front of his man, ghosting ahead of Brian Heel. It was the forward trying to mark him, and he wasn't able to do it. And Bulker, the center back, muscled in front. It's a great header against the grain, far corner. Perfect finish. Perfect start for Suriname. Mario Gonzalez still grabbing that left hand and wrist. And El Salvador and this sold-out crowd trying to regather their collective wits. Suriname took the lead at this same stadium in June. These two sides played in the second round of Concacaf World Cup qualifying. Different circumstances in that game just a few months ago. That was the last game of the second round of qualifying. Suriname had already booked their spot in the last round. More on that in a moment. Ordaz laying it off for El Salvador. Try to respond right away. That's a good ball on the right now. Settled by Jefferson Valladares, who had some good moments in the attack on Thursday. Chooses to pull this one back. Diego Flores. And the groan as that ball goes to no one in particular. As these two sides playing back in June, Suriname didn't need to get any kind of result in that game. El Salvador needed a draw to get through to this last round, and Suriname took the lead early in that game too, and this was a very nervous stadium. El Salvador rallied back before the end of the first half, evened the game at 1, and then hung on for the draw in the second half. Suriname didn't venture forward a whole lot, and El Salvador were pretty happy to play for the draw as well, since that was all they needed. So a very different feel tonight, but a similar start. Suriname finding the back of the net, calming this big crowd early on. They loft this one down this left wing. Shielded out of play, and a goal kick. Valladares does well. Redinho Bulker, who plays for Huddersfield Town in the English pyramid. It's just his second appearance for Suriname and his first goal for them. One of the players that Stanley Menzo and the Suriname Federation have recently recruited. Now Valladares down this right side, plays it off a defender, and it stays in play. This is a fairly spongy pitch. Ball tends to hold up on this surface. So you can't assume that a ball's going to spin out of play here. Over a quarter of an hour played. Suriname leading, thanks to Bulker's goal from that corner a few minutes ago. Jean-Paul Boetius, good ball into the middle. Not controlled by Justin Longwick. Missed opportunity for Suriname. Had a chance to break forward there. Give away a throw instead. Well, it's been a sobering start for El Salvador after so much excitement. This is the live table. If things stay this way, Suriname up to 4 points, they would top the group. Now, Panama and Guatemala, they play in about 40 minutes. They kick off at 9:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. That game in Panama. Guatemala really need a result from that one after losing at home to El Salvador last week. Panama could use a result too, of course, after being held to that draw. A lot of pressure on Panama. They are such heavy favorites to top this group and take that automatic World Cup qualifying spot. If they don't take all 3 points tonight against Guatemala, that pressure on them would really mount. And that's why it's such an opportunity for El Salvador in particular tonight to build on that big win against Guatemala. The thinking here is that if they could go to 6 points out of 6, even though they'll only be a third of the way through this qualifying round after tonight, that would be such a great platform. And their next 2 games are here in El Salvador as well, as this runs out of play for a throw for the home side. But Suriname spoiling all of that over the first 17.5 minutes. They know what a chance this is for them too, and they've been building to it for a while. So much work that their federation has done to strengthen their national side, take advantage of all of those members of their diaspora who are eligible to play for them, many of them in Holland. And here they come again, looking for a second goal, and threaded through, and they were nearly in again. Tackled out crucially by Henry Romero just before Gleofilo Vleiter, the all-time leading scorer for Suriname, could run onto it. Hilderin with the throw. And then the touch. And then Becker drawing 2 defenders now. They've recognized his threat, and he wins another corner. They scored from their first one, Suriname. Now they have a second. El Salvador thought it went off of Becker last. They were appealing to the center referee to change the call, but it is a corner. The ball was something between Vleiter and Henry Romero. They get back in each other's face afterward. What exactly happened here? Let's see. Well, a little bit of a hand to the face. Romero reacted, and Adonai Escobedo trying to calm the situation. And of course, again, VAR is in play. That was where the corner was given. Both sides were claiming it, of course. So we tick past 20 minutes played. El Salvador have to get better defending these set pieces. In from Becker. Chested down by Kenneth Paul. And calmed by Gonzalez, who looks like he's shaken off that injury for now, and he lumps it long, and Ordaz is after it, and Fossen way out of his area again, as he loves to do. Quick throw, touch to Heel, returned, and Heel trying to fight through 2 defenders. Back on it, Brian Heel over the bar. Better from El Salvador, whose fans respond. Didn't have many other options here. In the end, I think Serena got himself back on side, but you can understand why Brian Heel tried to shoot himself. Si se puede is the chant. Brian Heel previously played in Colombia. Now he's playing in the Russian Premier League. Scored 5 goals in just 7 league games so far this season in Russia. He's been on fire there. Watch for those quick throws from El Salvador. Just created danger from that one. That was how they scored against Suriname back in June. So throw in the middle of the park. Suriname didn't get themselves set. El Salvador took it right away and played on the break from it. That was how they grabbed the goal that got them through to this final round of qualifying. And this is over the top, and Heel's onto it. Brian Heel is in, and it's saved by Vossen. Second ball alive for Ordaz. Muscled off it by the retreating defender. That's 2 chances for Heel in these first 22 minutes. Back comes Flores. Inside for Surin. Wide for Ordaz. Ordaz steps around one. Surin. Flores. Bends in the cross. It's headed clear. And out for the first corner for El Salvador tonight. Totally onside. Heel just outran the entire back line. Ghosted right by them like they weren't there, but Vossen was there. Stood him up with the right foot. Midway through a bouncing first half. El Salvador hunting an equalizer. Surin's corner. Bends it over everybody in blue. Took them until the 79th minute to have their first corner of Thursday's game against Guatemala, and they promptly scored from it to win that game. Not as much success in their first corner tonight. It's still live at the edge of the area, and then clipped in, intended for Heel. He's really fast. That's how he was able to create the chance a moment ago. Gives away the foul that time. This was the work by Ordaz a moment ago. Ordaz didn't start on Thursday, which raised some eyebrows initially among El Salvador supporters and media, but came off the bench at halftime and totally livened up El Salvador's attack. Contributed the winning assist. Just 21 years old, grew up in Los Angeles. His mother from El Salvador, his father from Mexico. Referee blows for handball, and this is a free kick for El Salvador, who found some decent rhythm since falling behind. There's the handball against Justin Lonwick. And there's the confidence from Etienne Vossen. Again, the vast majority of this Suriname side came up through Dutch systems, Dutch academies. So it is a very strong technical side. And that ability to access players from that diaspora who have Surinamese descent and who play abroad, that's why Suriname have gotten so much better lately. Here's Diego Flores, though, for El Salvador. Heel shielding it off. Shouts for a penalty on the edge of the area. 25 minutes played. Suriname still leading thanks to Balker's goal from the corner in the 12th minute. There's that live table in Panama and Guatemala, getting started in about a half an hour. Suriname top of Group A for now. Reminder, we'll keep resetting throughout the night for people tuning in and out. Only the group winners in these qualifying groups go directly to the World Cup. So the margin for error, small. Ordaz. Darting between a few, using his strength as well. Pulls it back, looking for the cross. Not a lot on it, though. Only had Brian Heel to aim for in the box. He was surrounded by white shirts. Good tenacious tackling by El Salvador. They win it back. And then tackled right back by Kenneth Paul. They can't keep it, though, the visitors. You can feel El Salvador generating momentum, even though they still trail. It's blocked out for a throw. Well, there was the shout for a penalty a moment ago. Not sure if it was inside the area either. This cross blocked. Which side of the flag? It is a corner. Second corner for El Salvador tonight. Ordaz takes this. He has a wicked left foot, of course, and that's how they scored on Thursday. Bends this one in, near post. It's still loose, still scrambled for, and finally hacked away. All kinds of chaos in the box. Suriname did not deal with it well, but dealt with it enough. Aiming for that near post runner, and then it bounced to heel, and he couldn't get a clean contact on it. All the way back to Gonzalez, to the impatience of this crowd, and then out into touch. Ordaz fouled. Mentioned earlier, El Salvador will play their next two qualifiers in El Salvador. There's the foul. That was against Shaquille Pinas. Now the cross into the box, and it's touched in. They score! Brian Hill brings a colossal noise in El Coloso. It's blue and white belief. It's 1-1. It is being checked by VAR. It did take a weird bobble. Did it come off the arm of Brian Hill? For now, he takes the congrats and the celebrations. Certainly onside. Now, what does it bounce off of before rattling into the net? Let's see a second look. The cross was excellent from Jefferson Valladares. That's going to be close. Will the salute stand? Will the goal stand? That's the question now. It is being checked for handball. That was the question initially. It was certainly the question after we saw it back on those replays. Hernan Gomez chatting with the fourth official. Ball was kicked, but that wasn't the official kickoff. It's still being checked. And Adonai Escobedo telling players, we have to wait. It's out of my hands right now. He awaits word from the VAR room. Eric Miranda, the head VAR tonight. That's the question. Is that handball? It does appear to come off the arm. Is the arm in a natural and allowable position? Here's the decision after VAR review. No goal. Handball. Suriname keep their lead. So a free kick for Suriname then from the edge of the area. And Etienne Vossen didn't really have a chance to talk about it amid everything else going on there, but that was one of those situations where he came out to try to claim something and did not get there. And we mentioned at the start of the night, he is occasionally prone to those, even though he does a lot of good work proactively sweeping up and being aggressive to try to cut down balls into his area. Well, can El Salvador shake off that disappointment? This is sent toward goal, and it was spinning wide, it appeared. Vossen collects. They play out from the back, and they win the foul against Heel.
Agarre el audio de la cámara.
So Suriname would love a spell of possession here. They'd love to calm this game down. It's gotten away from them a bit over the last 10 minutes, even though they've kept their lead. They want to weather the rest of this first half. Again, they started really well here in June when they visited here. Took that early lead. El Salvador were able to gradually wrestle that game more into their favor as it went on, before Suriname finished pretty strongly over the last 10 minutes. But once this crowd gets going, El Salvador become tough to stop. But that goal that was disallowed has calmed things for now. So it's just Balker's goal then in the 12th minute still. Directly from a corner. Suriname have had issues dealing with Brian Heel up front. It was Heel who thought he'd scored for a couple minutes and has had a couple other chances. They play him over the top again. Dealt with enough by Shaquille Pinas. Header back into the path of Flores. Flores looks up and overshoots Heel this time. Vossen hearing it every time he takes a goal kick, of course. Glad you joined us for Concacaf World Cup qualifying. Final stage of the qualification process for next summer in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. I'm Donnie Barnes. About 10 minutes plus stoppage time left in the first half here at the Estadio Cuscatlan in San Salvador. Suriname, as things stand, would be in line for a massive 3 points on the road. It would really ignite their World Cup dreams. This is intercepted by Flores. If El Salvador could come back, if they could turn this around, they would be in a wonderful position, a third of the way through this final qualifying round. 4 games left for both these sides over the next 2 months after tonight. The next international window in October, the last one in this process in November. Just like normal league play, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. Only the group winners go directly to the World Cup next summer. The run is from Flores again. Pulls it across for Heel, and it's defended out. Third corner of the first half for El Salvador. Flores taking from this near flag. And there will be another. Try to whack it toward that near post. A hush on this crowd of better than 50,000 as Flores tries again. Skin to the edge of the area, taken down, left-footed strike just over the bar. Not far away. Vossen concerned for a moment. Hit well by Mauricio Cerritos. Suriname defending those initial balls well. Cerritos has a powerful left foot. See how close that was. El Salvador have done well since conceding that goal in the 12th minute. But as they know very well, it's all about end product. It's all about the result. They didn't play great on Thursday in Guatemala. They acknowledged that afterward. That one's given away. Chance for a counter for Suriname. They don't have many numbers forward. Cleaned up by Valladares. A warning to Etienne Vossen from Adonai Escobedo a moment ago. I believe that was for time wasting. Gliofilo Vleiter is down for Suriname as well. Well, on Thursday, as the visitors, Hernan Gomez's men were content to frustrate Guatemala and frustrate that big home crowd in Guatemala City for a long time before snatching that road goal and that road victory. Different scenario thus far tonight. It's been Suriname playing a classic road match in this first half. Grab one from a set piece, be patient when you have the ball, defend well enough without it. And now El Salvador can break. They have two ahead of the ball. Seren. Now Ordaz had to check back a little bit. Has help arriving on the right. Wants to take it himself. Ordaz! Second ball is gathered by Vossen, who's then collided with by Brian Heel. And Vossen staying down in the aftermath. Now Ordaz has scored some from outside the box for LAFC. Vossen not able to command the first shot. Got on it quickly. Heel tried to pull up, it looked like. It is a very slick surface. It's been raining off and on all afternoon and evening. It was still a hard collision. Etienne Vossen, like most of these Suriname players, you see a card was shown to Brian Heel. This was the scramble afterward, and there's the showing of the card from Adonai Escobedo. First booking of the night for either side. Vossen, like most of this Suriname side, plays in Holland. There's that live table again. Getting close to kickoff between Panama and Guatemala. So by the end of the night, everyone in Group A will have played 2 out of the 6 matches in this final qualifying round. Vossen plays for Groningen in Holland. He's been with them for a couple years. Spent about a decade with Walwick previously. His grandmother from Suriname. Agreed to join the Suriname national side last year. That is Steven Vasquez warming up on the touchline for El Salvador. As one of their strikers, he started their game on Thursday in Guatemala City. Obviously did not start tonight. Nathan Ordaz started in his place. Since they trail late in this first half, you can tell Hernan Gomez is already thinking about attacking-minded substitutions. Now here comes Suriname, breaking down this left wing. Edge of the area, now to the end line, going down, looking for a penalty. It's just a goal kick. Adonai Escobedo not interested. El Salvador players asking for a yellow for a dive. It was Richanel Margaret who felt there was enough contact. Thought he had a hand on the back from Henry Romero. Well, Nathan Ordaz hobbling, and he might not be able to continue. Well, that's a big loss for El Salvador if that's the case. That is the change. Steven Vasquez comes on for Nathan Ordaz with 2 minutes of the opening 45 remaining. Well, Ordaz, such a dynamic player. Again, such a key recruit for them over this last year. And supplied their winning assist on Thursday. He can play no further part in this one tonight. Steven Vasquez again started that game Thursday. Had a couple shots that were well off frame. He's just 22. He's been a prolific scorer in the Salvadoran League. Big and strong, 6'1". So the rest of the game is his up front, with his side trailing late in this first half. We're being told there will be an additional 7 minutes added on to the end of this first half. We have had a couple lengthy injury stoppages. So into the final minute of normal time we go. That means about 8 minutes remaining in total in this first half. Such key moments. Suriname intent on keeping that lead into the break. Of course they'd love to score another, but primarily they want to make sure they keep the zero and keep that pressure cranking up higher on El Salvador in front of this home crowd. El Salvador will be desperate to get back even before they go into the halftime break. They have to be careful they don't leave too many spaces the other direction. Here's Geraldo Becker, who was very dangerous early on. Combining with Justin Longwick. Out comes the goalkeeper, Gonzalez. And taking some contact from Cleofilo Vleiter. A little bit of a shirt pull, too. Subtly by Vleiter. He's just 25, Cleofilo Vleiter, but he's been with this Suriname national side for a while. And again, is their all-time leading scorer. We are into those 7 additional minutes of first half stoppage time. Suriname have led since the 12th. So far frustrating. This crowd of better than 50,000 at the Cuscatlán came ready for a party, ready to celebrate their side, taking a big step closer to their first World Cup appearance since 1982, but it's not happening for their team so far. Conceded the early goal from a corner. Had another goal disallowed when they thought they'd gotten level. It's good work down this left. The substitute Vasquez trying to return it into the middle. It was intended for Flores. Suriname play their way out. Good work from Kenneth Paul. He does well to find a teammate in the midfield now. And then the acceleration. That's a great tackle. Julio Cibrian. Every successful tackle being roared on by this crowd. Free kick for Suriname. Too much that time from Darwin Seren, who's regarded as one of the spiritual leaders of this El Salvador side. Over 100 caps for them. He's the record holder in caps for El Salvador, in fact. He's played for 3 different Major League Soccer clubs: Orlando City, San Jose, Houston Dynamo. Now playing for Águila in the Salvadoran League. Very nice feint. Jean-Paul Boetius lobbing it forward. Oh, and then given away to Lonwick. But there was a foul against Suriname. Nobody heard the whistle, which will happen on a night like this, in a stadium like this. Yeah, the foul was given for that tackle. 4 minutes of the first half remaining. Vasquez has drifted over to this right side now, gesturing for his teammates to get forward. So tricky tactically for El Salvador, because they are desperate to get that equalizer and give themselves a chance to go on and win this game. As this is over Heel's head and chested back to Vossen. But you can't be so overeager, of course, that you commit too many numbers forward and get caught on the counter. The Suriname side have quality on the ball, and they can play it through the lines. They're very good in transition if you get yourself too stretched. And they talked about playing a patient game, Suriname. They've done that very well in the first half. And now here's that transition speed, and it's Geraldo Becker by the end line, and Becker pulls it across. It's blocked first time, second ball, stabbed out by Gonzalez, who makes a huge save to keep the home side in it just before half. There was that danger in transition, and it almost cost El Salvador. Becker did so well. Initial block from Cibrian, second ball had to be dealt with by Gonzalez, who had scrambled across. And then Paul almost committed a cardinal turnover. Instead, Vanderkust goes the other way. Van Gelderen. Geraldo Becker. One of the key figures for Suriname. He's played in Spain for the last few years. Previously with Real Sociedad, now with Osasuna. We've seen his quality in the first half. 2 minutes of first half stoppage time left. Van Gelderen and Becker told the media yesterday at the pre-match press conference, we're on a mission. He's been on a mission on that right side in the first half. Vanderkust darting between lines. Lonwick ran into his man, Ronald Gomez, and fouled him. And Salvador wanted to take the free kick quickly, but the ball hadn't stopped. Referee pulls it back. Last chance for El Salvador to create something before the break. This is where it can be difficult for them, having to chase a game. Don't have the kind of offensive firepower that they at times have had in the past, especially with Ordaz having to leave the game. This is forward for Heel, gets his head to it, but only skims it out for a goal kick, and that will probably do it for the first half. Stanley Menzo's men doing exactly what they came here to do so far. There is halftime from referee Adonai Escobedo. And the atmosphere here at the Cuscatlán, not what they'd hoped for so far. The 12th minute opener from Radinho Balker from a corner, giving Suriname the perfect road half in this Concacaf World Cup qualifier. The final round, Suriname could go top of the table in Group A if they can hang on through 45 in hostile territory. It is Suriname 1, El Salvador 0. first half highlights between El Salvador and Suriname. Here at a bursting Estadio Cuscatlán, Suriname knew they would face quite a task tonight, but they were up to it in the first half. After such a noisy opening, it was Suriname who were able to calm the place a bit with some early possession. And they were able to create some early chances too. A big collision between the goalkeeper Mario Gonzalez and his teammate. He stayed down for a while after this. It was put out for what would be the first corner of the game. Gonzalez was worked on for several minutes, and then finally from that ensuing corner, Suriname scored the goal. Their center back, Rodinho Balker, ghosting in front of the forward Brian Heel, who was trying to stick to him and could not do so. He still had a lot to do with this header though, Rodinho Balker. Look at how well he places this. Power and precision into that far bottom corner. Unstoppable for Gonzalez, who still appeared to be feeling the effects of that injury a moment prior, but I'm not sure he would have gotten there anyway. El Salvador came close to equalizing a couple times, mainly through Brian Heel, who got in behind here on a simple ball over the top. He just outran that back line badly, but Etienne Vossen with the biggest save of the first half, sticking out that right boot. Later, a cross in from the right, ricocheted in off Heel, and for just a couple minutes, this huge crowd celebrated and thought they'd gotten back to 1-1, but on replay, you can see it came off the arm of Brian Heel. It was waved off by VAR. No goal, handball, it stayed 1-0. Later, there would be this shot from about 25 yards out. A rasping effort from Mauricio Cerritos, but just over the bar. Etienne Vossen saw that, took his hand out of the way. And then later, a shot from Nathan Ordaz, and what would turn out to be one of his final involvements in the first half before going off with an injury. You wonder if the injury occurred there. Not sure, but Brian Heel following up on the rebound that was spilled by Vossen. Vossen able to get back on it. And that would be about the closest El Salvador would come over the rest of the first half as Heel went into the book for that collision. And then El Salvador almost grabbed a second before halftime. A good save by Mario Gonzalez. It was Geraldo Becker who caused issues down that right side, putting in the cross, and it eventually fell at that back post. And it was nearly 2-0 before half. Richanel Margaret seeing his efforts saved well by the veteran Gonzalez. 1-0 Suriname at the break. So the numbers from our first half. Suriname outshot 8-3 by El Salvador, but just 2 of those 8 shots on target for the home side. Only 1 card in the match, shown to Brian Heel. 57% of the ball for the visitors. El Salvador will probably need a bit more of that in the second half. Can the home side rally and make this big crowd believe again in half number 2? Or can Suriname see it out for 3 massive points on the road in their quest for their first ever World Cup berth? Second half comes your way in just a moment. It's 1-0 to Suriname. Getting ready for the second half at the Estadio Cuscatlán in San Salvador. See the concerned looks on the home fans' faces as their side trails Suriname 1-0. Headed into the second 45 of this Concacaf final round of World Cup qualifying. And El Salvador and their faithful came to the stadium today so full of hope and excitement and belief and momentum after that 1-0 win against Guatemala on the road last Thursday. A sensational result. El Salvador were not favored coming into this World Cup qualifying campaign. They just scraped through to this final round with a draw in the last game of the second qualifying phase. And not among the favorites even to finish second and maybe claim one of those best runner-up finishes that would get you a place in the final Interconfederation playoff next March. But with that win last Thursday, tickets for this match here tonight sold out in hours. And this place was full almost 2 hours before kickoff. They sat through the rain, they sang through the rain at times. They danced and celebrated, and they could not wait for kickoff tonight. But Suriname played a terrific road first half. They weathered the early storm and emotion, and then they opened the scoring in the 12th minute, direct from a corner. Mario Gonzalez, who appeared to take an injury to something on that left hand or wrist or arm area, it was right before that corner that he stayed down for a few minutes. Couldn't do much about the subsequent header from Rodinho Balker. And Suriname were able to withstand a subsequent push by El Salvador, who played well over the following 20 minutes or so. Thought they had the leveler about a half an hour in, but a goal from Brian Heel was disallowed for handball upon a VAR check. And so now 45 massive minutes to come. If El Salvador could maintain this lead and see this out, they would, for the moment at least, go to the top of Group A. Panama and Guatemala kicked off just a little bit ago in the other game going on tonight in this group. But Suriname would take a big step towards real contention for their first ever World Cup appearance if they could win this evening. And if El Salvador could turn it around, suddenly their World Cup dreams would swell even larger. Referee Adonai Escobedo about ready to get us back underway. It's Suriname in the white, El Salvador in the blue. Home side to kick things off, attacking from left to right in this second half. This crowd of better than 50,000 desperately hoping that they have something to erupt about in this second half. Glad to have you with us. I'm Donnie Barnes. Here we go for half number 2. We're back underway. Can Suriname claim one of the biggest wins in their program and nation's history? Or can El Salvador make a famous comeback and send this place berserk? What kind of drama does this one have over the next 45? No changes at the break for either side. Early possession for El Salvador. They outshot Suriname 8-3 in that first half. Brian Heel involved in many of their attacks. He was the one who looked like he'd scored the equalizer for a couple minutes before it was disallowed for handball. Early goal kick about a minute into the second half. Panama and Guatemala, by the way, in Panama City, 0-0 in the opening 10 minutes. Those are the other two teams in this Group A. Again, if you're just joining us, final round of Concacaf qualifying. 12 nations have qualified for this final round. That's calm play out of the back by the goal scorer, Rodinho Balker. So those 12 remaining nations divided up into 4 groups of 3. Only the 3 group winners go directly to the World Cup next summer. Handball claimed here by Suriname. It's a throw for Suriname instead. Stanley Menzo furious that the free kick wasn't awarded. Good ball by Lonwick. Suriname looked very confident in possession when they had the ball in the first half, and they did have the majority of the possession. Impressive road half. In such a hostile environment. Defended down the line. Turned back over to Richanel Margaret. This is what Suriname want. Possess the ball, frustrate El Salvador, frustrate this home crowd. El Salvador free kick. They want to get on with it, of course. Suriname head coach Stanley Menzo saying in the build-up to this game, everyone is now taking Suriname into account. He knows their team has earned respect around the region and increasingly around the world in recent years. Qualified for 2 of the last 3 Gold Cups, including the one this summer. This is lifted into the area, though. Brian Heel after it. Won the header. Crowd likes the effort from Jefferson Valladares. These two sides had met 10 prior times. Suriname have only won once against El Salvador. But again, a lot of those meetings were before Suriname began allowing dual nationals to play for their national side, and that has changed everything for their program since roughly the turn of the decade. Able to tap in now to that very rich Surinamese diaspora, a lot of which is in Holland, and has been for generations, of course. So many members of those great Dutch national sides have been of Surinamese descent. And here come El Salvador, though, desperate to create something early in this second half. It's a good persistent run and winning a throw, Justin Lonwick, who scored the goal for Suriname at this stadium back in June when they drew 1-1. Lonwick, another one of those who plays in Holland. Came up through the PSV Academy. You read the bios of these Surinamese players up and down this roster. So many of them have PSV or Feyenoord or Ajax on their resume, at least at the youth level. So it's no accident that they have a lead on a night like this. These are the kind of stages that they are fully capable of competing on nowadays. And if they could keep doing so, they might get themselves to the biggest stage of them all. El Salvador have a lot to say about that still, though, over this second half. And here they come with Vasquez, and Vasquez's cross. Did it take a touch? Apparently not, and it's a goal kick. Etienne Vossen was warned for time wasting late in the first half, remember. Here's another look at the cross. Bit of a heavy touch. Those are the kinds of touches that El Salvador will be trying to capitalize on in this second half. Here's a look at the live table. Now that Panama and Guatemala have kicked off, and they're 0-0 early on, so Suriname, as things stand, topping Group A if results stay the same. 4 games left in this group for everybody involved after tonight. Those will be played in October and November. It's a good touch to spin it into Brian Heel's path. He keeps it moving now on the left and continues his run. Wanted it right away and did not get it, and nobody received it in blue in the end. Everybody behind that goal, all the El Salvador fans, all pointed toward Heel in the direction of Steven Vasquez, who played that errant ball, saying, pass it to him. It's not a good ball out from Suriname. What can El Salvador create from it? These are the kind of turnovers Suriname will have to avoid in this second half if they're going to protect and see out this lead. Flores. Toward the end line. Did it go out of play? Kept in play. Flicked away by Paul. Up into the air by Cibrian. Jumping for it was Seren. Still fighting for it. Can't get it though. Suriname can turn it the other direction. And Geraldo Becker, who was a handful in the first half. Did he get pulled back? He looks for the foul. He gets it now. El Salvador players getting frustrated with what they perceive to be time wasting from Suriname. That's the problem, of course, in games like this. When you concede early, you open yourself up, not only to be countered on the rest of the night as you get more desperate and have to commit more numbers forward, you also open yourself up to the opposition using all those subtle ways of buying and wasting time as long as they have that lead. It's the kind of thing that's great game management when you're winning. It's incredibly infuriating when you're not. And Suriname looking for that second goal, and Margaret cuts inside. Richanel Margaret, great save. Second big save of the night from Mario Gonzalez to keep El Salvador within one. Suriname, though, dangerous again. Staying fluidly in possession. Margaret once more. Showed you what he can do when he cuts in on his right foot a moment ago. El Salvador can't get a hold of it. Becker. And into the box and over the bar. Geraldo Becker burst through two blue shirts and then couldn't keep it down. Here was the effort from Margaret first. Now in the other direction, Heel has it run through to Vossen instead. Those two center backs for Suriname have had issues with Brian Heel with those very direct runs and direct balls over the top. He's so fast. He's faster than both of them, clearly. They've lost him a couple times. Etienne Vossen made that huge stop 1v1 in the first half. But 10 minutes into the second half, Suriname maintaining their lead that they've held since the 12th. Rodinho Balker's goal from a corner, holding up to this point. Taking it in stride, Lonwick. And Lonwick still stabbing it through and over the bar again for Suriname, this time for Gliofilo Vleiter. They're creating chances, though. They're not just sitting back in a low block and trying to defend for 45 minutes. They're trying to kill this game, kill this crowd. Richanel Margaret almost did it a couple minutes ago. Margaret, one of those players we were talking about earlier, spent 10 years coming up through the Ajax youth system. Now plays for a different club in Holland at the senior level. Heel, on that direct ball, able to chest it down to himself. But he was offside. Etienne Vossen. Lots of space in the midfield now for Suriname to get forward again, and it's Margaret. 1v1, wriggling into the area, plays the overlapping ball. Blocked toward the end line. Is it a corner or a goal kick? It's a goal kick as it came off the overlapping Javencio Vanderkust last. Substitutes warming up for El Salvador. You wonder how much longer Hernan Gomez will wait to shuffle his deck. He had to make that one change late in the first half when Nathan Ordaz couldn't continue. It was a concern after Thursday's game. Hernan Gomez said. He said they had a number of players that struggled to get through that game physically on Thursday and that he wasn't sure about for tonight. Here they come, though. That's intended for Heel and easily dealt with. That's a wonderful first touch to start it the other way. Geraldo Becker again showing that quality. And trying to return it to him was lighter. You see the emotion from Henry Romero. That's why he's known as a warrior. Physical, one of the leaders. Went flying into that tackle. Arguably two-footed, but he got the ball cleanly. Here's a corner. And that was how Suriname scored, of course, in the 12th minute. Long in-swinging ball, and trying to roam under it was Lonwick, and then does well to keep it in play for Margaret. Errant ball back though. And Salvador trying to hustle numbers forward. It's Heel making the run down the right. He's the only other available in blue. Run continued by Valladares. And he's called for the foul. It was a poor giveaway by Suriname. It's exactly the kind of thing you want to avoid in a situation like this. But fortunately for them, El Salvador didn't have many forward to capitalize on it. Vossen, not sure he was trying to play that to, and his teammates weren't quite sure either. And Vossen's a very good goalkeeper. He makes some big saves 1v1. He's very comfortable with his feet. Sometimes it appears almost a bit too comfortable. Into the box this goes. Heel again gets his head to it. He's won a number of headers initially. He just hasn't been able to direct them on frame. How much will Heel have left in the tank for the rest of this second half? That's a big question. He's put a lot of effort into the first hour of this match. So this is a free kick for El Salvador. As we approach that hour mark, into the final 30 of this Concacaf World Cup qualifier. The Cuscatlan raises their noise again. Set piece raked in, Vossen up and able to claim. Live table. Panama and Guatemala. Again, playing in Panama City. Oh, that's turned over by Vossen. That was another one of those moments by him, and he, I think, is claiming some miscommunication with his center backs. He thought one of them was going to be where he clearly wasn't. They get away with it, and they have a free kick. That's twice in the last few minutes, though. Etienne Vossen has played out from the back, and a couple minutes ago, he almost hit his own man. There was the leap from Heel a moment ago. And then just now, totally misfired, passed it to somebody in blue. It's all about capitalizing on your moments and your opportunities, though, especially in international soccer. You play so few games, you get so few opportunities like this. Late in World Cup qualifying, so much on the line for both nations. Vossen stays calm. He's going to stick to his game. Suriname will stick to theirs. The ball doesn't stick to them that time, but there was a foul involved, says Adonai Escobedo. You can hear the opinions of the Salvadoran public. El Salvador will play their next 2 qualifiers on home soil as well, but as of now, they won't be at this stadium. Guns N' Roses are scheduled to play a concert here in early October, just before that qualifying window. And it's been deemed that there wasn't enough time to turn the field around reliably, and so they'll have to play at a different stadium in El Salvador. Vossen hearing about it from the crowd every time he touches it. Very cool step over and leave. This is the silky skill that Suriname possess, and they've shown some good steel tonight as well. And carried down the line by Vleiter, and Vleiter looks to earn the corner. Deflected back to him, so he finds Margaret. Wanted the foul and does not receive it, and Margaret lifts it across. Goalkeeper started to come, leaves it for his teammate. It's settled on the edge of the area eventually by Paul, and then Becker facing up. Geraldo Becker, not on his favorite foot, and not on target. And Gonzalez trying to get it right back in play, sends it out of play. Denzel Ubatana warming on the touchline for Suriname. 0-0 so far between Panama and Guatemala. A game at the Estadio Romel Fernandez in Panama City. About 25 minutes in there. Other 2 teams in Group A. A backwards header forces the goalkeeper Gonzalez to just wait for it to bounce into his area, which he's relieved that it did. Oh, bad turnover then by El Salvador. Becker again onto it for Suriname. A second goal for the visitors would most likely kill this off. Well done by Lonwick to keep it moving. Becker crosses in. Cleared to the edge of the area. Lonwick against a body. Second ball settled. Turnaround try is wide by Gleofilo Vleiter. And Suriname continue to search for that second goal. Pretty good look for Lonwick. It's an excellent block. And then the second try from Vleiter. Tough to swivel and hit all in one motion. Ronald Gomez, who made that block a moment ago, down for a moment. Into the final 25 minutes, Hernan Gomez has not made any further changes yet. Again, he wasn't sure after the game Thursday how many players he'd have available tonight. He talked about the physical toll that that game took on them Thursday night, even as they earned a sensational result on the road. And there was so much hope around El Salvador over the last few days that they could follow that up with another big result tonight, put themselves in a commanding position a third of the way through this final group qualifying stage. Has not happened to this point. Suriname have played a tremendous game away from home over the first 66 minutes. The ball rolls out of play, and this is a corner for El Salvador. And again, this massive crowd thirsts for a reason to erupt. They don't have Ordaz on the pitch to take these anymore. The outswinging ball then is easily cleared by Paul at the near post. Suriname are going to make a double change at the next stoppage. Denzel Ubatana and Daraso Klaas will come on. Vossen out. His teammate sweeps up in front of him. heel, and the crowd feeling he got a high boot. All okay in the referee's view. And to be fair to him, heel didn't actually appeal that much. It was mainly the crowd. That's a wonderful switch out to the right side. Tons of room there for Suriname. And we're into the final quarter of this qualifier. Radinho Balker's goal in the 12th minute from a corner has made the difference thus far. And here's the overlap from Paul. And as El Salvador wanted to take that throw quickly, they have to wait for these subs. El Salvador making 2 changes of their own. For Suriname, Jean-Paul Boetius, the first player who makes way. Liam van Helderen is the other player that comes off for them. So Gliofilo Vleiter making way. For El Salvador, they're sending on Joshua Perez. Ivano Comenencia also is entering. So the second and third changes of the night for El Salvador. They would have 2 remaining. Suriname make a 3rd change. So Van Gelderen does leave. Anthony Dijksteel takes his place. So it turns into a triple change for Suriname. Crowd hollering for a free kick. They get one. Just off the bench, Harold Osorio. Able to liven things up right away. He was the one who scored their winner on Thursday in Guatemala City from that corner kick. In it comes, and it's swung away by Suriname in the final 20 minutes now. And Osorio gets himself in line, takes a tumble. Referee just points for a goal kick. Not really a strong appeal from El Salvador. There was contact, but doubt that would be enough for VAR to seriously look at that. Suriname playing that short goal kick, which allows Vasa to waste more time. Now motioning everybody forward. It's a very subtle chest down from Geraldo Becker that he makes look so simple. If you've ever tried it on a soccer pitch, you know it's not. This is a great touch by Lonwick, and Lonwick feeding through Margaret, but out comes Mario Gonzalez instead. And now Suriname playing on the counter. They have numbers on the counter too. They want a free kick. Referee says the ball was won cleanly. Suriname get it right back. And Becker has room on the right. Becker into the middle. Put right back to him. And Becker pulls it across, and this time it's cleared by Joshua Perez, at least partially. And then the whistle relieves further pressure on El Salvador. But it doesn't relieve the overall pressure that they're under now. Down 1-0 in the final 20 minutes at home. And if they don't take any points from this game, all the great work they did to steal 3 on the road at Guatemala City earlier this week, last week that is, would be effectively neutralized. Meanwhile, in Panama City, there's been big news there. More on that in a moment. First, El Salvador on the attack, looking for an equalizer. Played toward Heel, trying to get himself turned with the ball. Heel still, Brian Heel! They score! Salvadoran salvation! They're even, and the Cuscalan goes crazy! This is all about Brian Heel. Looks like it's gone. He gets it back, flicks it around the defender, flicks it toward goal. It's an own goal in the end. They won't care. He won't care. It wound up in the back of the net. That's what matters. That's the moment for El Salvador. They are level with over 15 minutes still to play. It's tough on Anthony Dijksteel, just on a few minutes ago. Not much else he could do there. Has to go for it, of course. And was only able to put it into his own net. Nothing for VAR to look at that time. And now listen to this place. Vamos, Selecta. Esta noche tenemos que ganar. Come on, Selecta. Tonight you have to win. That's the chant. And that's the belief now. They're level and now they want more. It's Heel looking to play through. Oh, the overlap was on. It's Steven Vasquez, and now it is on, and it's put across the face and blocked very well, and crucially by Radinho Balker, who scored at the other end in the first half. May have saved a goal there. And they're anyone's points now, with 15 minutes to go. This is touched out of play. Is this a corner for Suriname? Yes, it is. They have a chance to respond. Meanwhile, in in Panama City, we told you there have been big developments there. There have been 2 big developments. First, Guatemala grabbed a lead on the road. Then Panama have just equalized. So it's 1-1 with about 10 minutes to play in the first half in Panama City. In the other game in Group A, in Concacaf World Cup qualifying. It is never short of entertainment. Tonight living up to it again. Denzel Ubatana to take the corner for Suriname and bends it in. Oh, and there's shouts for a penalty there. Nothing given so far. VAR will check, of course. There were bodies tumbling over in that 18-yard box. And these home fans will hold their breath now as the VAR room takes a look. Justin Lonwick, the player who tumbled over for Suriname, stays down to make sure there's time to review, but quickly that's been checked and cleared, apparently. Adonai Escobedo waving for play to go on. Lonwick was claiming a tug on his shirt. Into the box this goes, headed away. Every loose ball so critical now. World Cup dreams potentially in the balance. Won't be decided tonight, but huge points either direction. That's a goal kick. You hear the response for every ball that the home side win now. Oh, what a turn, and then the tug back and a free kick for El Salvador. Crowd baying for a yellow card against Javencio Vanderkust. There's only been 1 card shown tonight. That was to Brian Heel in the first half for a collision with the goalkeeper. Heel has engineered the equalizing goal here in the second half. And he wins this chest down as well to the path of Steven Vasquez. Again, the goal for El Salvador has been officially given as a Dijksteel own goal. And here's a Suriname, an El Salvador free kick. Initially, it looked like the referee was playing advantage for Suriname, but it goes the other direction. It is boiling and bouncing and jumping, and Si se puede was the chant. They believe they can, but Suriname still do too, and they're away on the counter, or at least they were. Now it's a free kick, and it's a pretty good card to take under the circumstance by Julio Cibrian, because Suriname had something dangerous cooking there. In Panama City, by the way, VAR is reviewing a possible penalty for Guatemala. It's 1-1 there late in the first half. We'll see whether Guatemala indeed are awarded a penalty. It's all going on. It's everything you want. What more do we have left tonight? Suriname looking for their lead back. They'll have a throw. And there's space on the right again for Becker, who then couldn't get it past Diego Flores. And here's the counter for Heel, and Heel goes 1v1 with the defender, who has inside positioning and utilizes it. No penalty in Panama City for Guatemala, so that game stays 1-1 just before half. El Salvador, referee with whistle to lips, now gives the free kick to Suriname. He was waiting to see whether there would be advantage. Vanderkuss did well to stay strong on the ball. And we reach the final 10 minutes. That's the live table. Panama and Suriname, as things stand now, joint second with 2 points each. That's the value of El Salvador at least equalizing tonight and splitting the points in this game. Coming in with 3 was so critical they didn't leave with nothing tonight. Becker, though, could still leave them with nothing. The step over is excellent. The layoff is great, and it's into the path for the second goal for Suriname. And they are back in the lead. Duraso Klaas quiets the Cuscatlán once again. The few who have traveled are elated. The 50,000 plus are stunned and silent once more. 2-1. Wonderful play, calm play, classy play. All the momentum against them, this whole crowd against them, they did not care. And Duraso Klaas, with his first ever goal for the national side, plays his club football in Georgia and has just made himself a legend in Suriname. The air has gone out of the balloon at the Estadio Cuscatlán. They've done so much hard work to get themselves even, and they felt to give themselves a platform to go on and win this game. Now they again have to scramble to try to salvage one. El Salvador will bring on Noel Rivera in just a moment. They give the ball away first. Suriname want to put it thoroughly away now. They have a throw. Rivera comes on for Mauricio Cerritos. Rivera, a player that a lot of El Salvador fans had wanted to see with the national team earlier. He's brought into this international window, part of this roster, excluded all year until now. Vision, pace, control on the ball. Not many minutes left to make an impact tonight, but does get on with his team in need of all of those things. Suriname happy to dance on the ball and possess it and keep it and move it and frustrate. They give it away there, though. And Salvador need to move it quickly. And the drag back leads to a card. Darasso Klaas now has a goal and a booking tonight. Ball nearly went out of play. Apparently kept in, and so it'll be an El Salvador throw. They work it quickly to Heel. Stood up toward that back post, and it nearly reached the runner on that backside. That was Rivera just on the pitch. It was a last-moment adjustment by Anthony Dijksteel, who has the own goal to his name, but a key piece of defending that time. 6 minutes to go. And Rivera to take the corner and takes it short to the edge of the box, then stood up to the back post. Heel wins the header but could not get over it and could not direct it anywhere productive. Goal kick. There's the goal for Darasso Klaas, and it was class. What a layoff by Denzel Yubatana into his path. Unselfish. Everybody expected he was going to shoot. Nope. Klaas arriving unmarked at the back post. Nothing Mario Gonzalez could do about that. He made a couple big saves when it was still 1-0. Hung out to dry that time. 2 changes for Suriname. The veteran Dion Malone comes on to help shore up the back line for these final minutes. And Jaden Montnor, who's a 23-year-old who's very good attacking 1v1. He would be useful in counterattacking situations when you have a late lead like this, and that's why he's on. Lonwick goes out. So does Richanel Margaret. We're into the final 5 in San Salvador. Lofted over the top for the run of Noel Rivera. Home team throw. There's the live table. Suriname back top as things stand. Much too deep on the cross. Picked up and taken for a jog by Javencio Vanderkust. Mistimed the pass with the run of Jaden Montnor. Panama and Guatemala still 1-1. That game kicked off an hour after this one did. We're already hearing there will be an additional 6 minutes added on at the end of this second half. There is still time for El Salvador. That cross was deflected, and they cannot keep it. And Suriname, just 2 in the attack. Well, they keep it alive, and Geraldo Becker roaming down the left has a man wide open in the box, and it's Vanderkust, and he couldn't quite find him. And instead, Mario Gonzalez found it. Boy, that was on for a moment for Suriname. I think Vanderkust needed that ball centered just a touch earlier than it was. that ball stay in play for El Salvador? It does. It's taken by Rivera. Looks for a teammate. Comes back to him on the deflection. 1v1 with Dijksteel. Dijksteel sticking with him. Rivera keeps it alive in the corner. Crowd groaning every time the ball goes backward. Now Osorio. Could he make a difference late, like he did on Thursday? El Salvador throw. Vasquez and Rivera seem to get in each other's way. 2 minutes of the 90 left, about 8 left overall. Lining up for a shot, instead clipping it into Heel, who again gets his head to it. They have struggled to defend him in the air, Suriname. Heel created the equalizer. He's had several other moments where the ball just didn't bounce for El Salvador. El Salvador go long, and that was missed by Dijksteel. And so it's Rivera. And Dijksteel gets the foot in that time. Suriname looked for the free kick. Well, they didn't get it, but El Salvador passed it out into touch for them. There's the live table again. Panama and Guatemala have reached halftime. They're still 1-1. Electric first half in Panama City. Panama, the heavy favorites in this group coming in. They are not having an easy time so far. A lot of pressure on them to qualify for this World Cup. If they don't take all 3 points tonight, that pressure will become massive going into the second group of qualifying games in October. And these qualifiers being played across September, October, and November to determine the other 3 of CONCACAF's 6 places in the World Cup next summer. The US, Mexico, Canada already automatically qualified as the host nations, of course. An expanded World Cup field from FIFA for next year, giving so much more hope to so many more nations to reach that big dance for the first time. El Salvador with so much hope coming into tonight after their win on Thursday. We are into those 6 additional minutes of second half stoppage time. That's all the time remaining for the home side to avoid a hugely disappointing defeat, and for Suriname to hang on for what would be a monumental victory, arguably the biggest in their history. And it would give them real hope of reaching a World Cup. And a Suriname free kick, which will milk more time off this stoppage time clock. It's been an emotional night for Henry Romero. See a few starting to head for the exits there at the Cuscatlan. Hernan Gomez was delighted with the result on Thursday in Guatemala, but said we have to play better. They've had moments tonight, but not enough of them. And El Salvador have planted 2 in the back of their net. They're on the verge of taking all 3 points. This is a goal kick for El Salvador, who still have time to rescue something tonight. Advanced by Valladares. Lifted long with a leap of Steven Vasquez. Volleyed by Paul. Everybody back defending for Suriname. Everything needs to go forward for El Salvador. It's a good throw into the path of Osorio. A recovery run from Klaas. And then into the box it goes, near post, defended away. Goalkeeper, I think, gave a shout, but Radinho Balker couldn't hear him. So it is an attacking throw. Flores takes it short. Romero. And it runs all the way through. Did it come off a defensive head? Claiming a corner, El Salvador. They get one with 3 minutes to go. And it might be their last chance tonight. Such a big difference between losing and drawing in these qualifiers. Losing 3 points versus ending the night even. Toward the back post, it's punched by Vassen. Settled not very well and not effectively by Rivera. They want the free kick. Suriname, they have one. And they take it quickly too. And Becker takes it for a run. And goes down and wins another foul. Suriname continue to turn heads around the world, continue to prove that they can hang on the big stage. This arguably their biggest test that they've faced yet. They are less than 2 minutes away from passing it with absolutely flying colors and with their country's colors flying proudly. Montnor guilty of the foul, but he won't care. 90 seconds to go. Suriname have defended pretty comfortably since they regained the lead. And El Salvador running very short of time to change this result. Final minute of added time. Has to happen right about now for El Salvador if it's going to happen tonight. Anywhere will work for Suriname and for Duraso Klaas, who has the winning goal as things stand. Can they create one more chance, El Salvador? Decent ball on the right, finds Valladares. Crowd groans as he cuts it infield. Heel with his back to goal. He's been their main threat tonight. Ball spins through. Vassen can make it his. And that will probably close things out. All eyes will go to Adonai Escobedo. We've had the 6 minutes, and it is over. And Suriname silence San Salvador. And their World Cup dream is alive and loud. A nation that's seen so much of its diaspora shine for Holland now aspires to bring that glorious shimmer to its own shores, and they will at least be joint top of Group A after the first third of this final qualifying round. Duraso Klaas made the difference in the second half. After the own goal had equalized, Balker gave them the lead in the first. And Suriname, with 4 points through 2 games, they fully believe now, and their public will as well. Disappointment at the Cuscatlán, jubilation back in Suriname. It finishes tonight in San Salvador. Suriname 2, El Salvador 1. So Suriname celebrate and send this big crowd home unhappy in San Salvador. We'll see our full-time highlights in just a moment. El Salvador, who trailed for much of this match, fell behind in the 12th minute, finally hauled themselves level in the 73rd. Got themselves caught chasing that winner a bit. And Suriname opened them up so classily late on and scored that winning goal. And El Salvador not able to create a ton in the final minutes. And again, this will likely be the last World Cup qualifier in this cycle that El Salvador will play at this stadium. It appears they'll have to play their 2 home qualifiers next month at a different venue in El Salvador. So the Cuscatlán, such a historic and incredible venue, the largest stadium in Central America and the Caribbean, in fact, at over 53,000 capacity. And it was bouncing at various times tonight, but it was Suriname who handled that so impressively. A real coming-of-age night for Suriname, and they've shown plenty of glimpses of this. They've shown that they're capable of nights like this over the past few years. But it has been a build to actually generate a result like this in a moment like this, which gives them a real chance of competing for the top of Group A and gaining one of those automatic qualifying spots to the FIFA World Cup in the United States, Mexico, and Canada next summer. Here are the full-time stats. 10 shots either way. 4 shots on target for Suriname. El Salvador ending the night with 3 cards. They out-cornered Suriname 7-4, but Suriname scored from one of those corners early on. 55% possession for the visitors as well. Here are our full-time highlights. There was a pre-match flyover. There was so much noise in this stadium at the start of this match. The national anthem, electric. The opening kickoff, goosebumps. But Suriname got right to work trying to calm things down in this building. They had early possession, created some early danger, a collision between the goalkeeper and his defender. Mario Gonzalez was down for a few minutes after this. He appeared to be in real pain. It resulted in the first corner of the night. And after that delay, Suriname would score from that first corner of the night. Beautifully delivered ball to the near post. Great run by Radinho Balker and a perfectly steered header into the opposite corner. It's so well executed. Not well defended by El Salvador, who struggled to defend crosses into the area against Guatemala, but got away with it a few times. Were immediately punished, though, tonight. And so that set the tone for Suriname, who could spend most of the night with the advantage. El Salvador thought they had gotten themselves level later in the first half. First, they had a chance, and this ball directly over the top for Brian Heel, who was by far their biggest threat all evening. Suriname struggled to deal with his speed and his runs right down the middle. And then this is where he thought he had scored. It rebounded right back off his body after the teasing cross from Jefferson Valladares. But on replay, it rebounded in off his arm. And so it was disallowed by VAR for handball, and it remained 1-0 to Suriname. Later in the first half, there was an effort from distance that flew just over the bar. It was a good hit by Mauricio Cerritos, but just over. And it stayed 1-0 to Suriname. Later, a save by Vossen, who spilled it, but was able to jump on the rebound before Heel could. This was the last action of the night for Nathan Ordaz, and El Salvador certainly missed him over the rest of the night. He had to leave with an apparent injury before halftime, and that blunted their attack quite a bit. Ordaz just offers something that they don't often have otherwise. And then late in the first half, still, Suriname almost doubled their lead just before the break. This turned into a good save from Mario Gonzalez, who was able to work his way around his own goal mouth and get to that far post just in time to parry that away. So it was 1-0 at halftime, and Suriname started the second half very well. And it nearly turned into a second goal for them a couple times during this sequence from about minutes 45 till 65. Richanel Margaret cutting in on his right and forcing an excellent save from Mario Gonzalez. El Salvador were able to hang around thanks to a couple of those from their goalkeeper. Later on, from the edge of the box, a great block first by a defender, and then touched and half volleyed wide. It was an acrobatic effort by Gleofilo Vleider after the initial attempt came from Justin Lonwick. But it stayed just a 1-goal game. El Salvador hung in there, and then they would create the equalizing goal. Brian Heel just able to flick it around a defender and chip it toward goal, and it was headed into the back of his own net by Anthony Dijksteel. An own goal Heel celebrated, a whole crowd exploded, and it was 1-1. It was such a great little flick by Heel right there to touch it around the defender and create the chance. Dyke still in an impossible position. Can't really fault him for putting it into his own net. And so El Salvador were even, and at that point there was such hope in this building that they could go on and win this game and make it 6 points out of 6. But after all that buildup and all that noise, it was in fact Suriname who would grab the winner, and it was so well worked, so calmly played, and calmly finished by Daraso Klaas. After his teammates combined beautifully on the edge of the area, it's those simple triangles, you practice them in training over and over, hoping that in a moment like this, you'll be able to execute, and that's exactly what they did. It's so impressive from Suriname for so many reasons, in so many ways, and it was the winning moment tonight. They had an opportunity to kill it off in stoppage time. Geraldo Becker trying to play in Javencio Vanderkust. Maybe just waited a hair too long, but it was quite a shift from Becker tonight over the 90-plus minutes. Can't fault him for that. And it turned out to not matter as Suriname saw out stoppage time pretty comfortably for a massive win on the road that fully ignites their World Cup dream. So for our entire wonderful production crew, I'm Donnie Barnes. We hope you've enjoyed this one tonight from San Salvador at the historic Estadio Cuscatlán, where it finished once again this evening in the final round of Concacaf World Cup qualifying. Suriname 2, El Salvador 1.